Frankenstein: The Monster Returns is an action platformer developed by Toes for the Nintendo Entertainment System and published by Bandai. It was released in July of 1991 and exclusively in North America. Frankenstein, the monster, not the game, and yes, before I continue, in this game the villain's name is simply Frankenstein as opposed to Frankenstein's monster, has risen from his grave and ransacked a nearby village. He has also kidnapped Emily, the village elder's daughter, and used his evil magic, like since when does Frankenstein use magic, to gather a band of horrible monsters to protect himself, including Demon Horse, the He-Monster and She-Monster, and Man-Wolf, which is simply hilarious. Even the Grim Reaper, the physical manifestation of death itself, serves Frankenstein, and it's your job as the hero to slay these nightmarish abominations, rescue Emily, and put Frankenstein back in the dirt, this time, hopefully, for good. I feel like it's natural to draw comparisons between Frankenstein: The Monster Returns and the early Castlevania games, and they do bear a lot of similarities, only this time Frankenstein is Dracula's boss. You start with a pinch of a Castlevania-like setting, a smidgen of Castlevania 2 in the form of exploring buildings and secret areas, stir in a dash of Castlevania The Adventure by powering up your basic attack with a projectile, and voila! Frankenstein sounds like the recipe for a great NES game, right? You begin your adventure weaponless, punching and jump-kicking monsters. Some monsters will drop a weapon for you to pick up, and to do so, you have to press down on the D-pad. These weapons that you pick up aren't permanent, and you'll drop them if you take damage. Some monsters drop these red balls, which give your weapon a projectile attack, but similar to the weapons you can pick up, it goes away if you take damage. Most monsters respawn indefinitely, similar to the NES version of Ninja Gaiden, which in Frankenstein: The Monster Returns is more of a blessing than a curse. The enemies that drop health, weapons, or red balls always drop them, meaning you can farm enemies for power-ups. The platforming in Frankenstein is pretty standard for the most part. You simply run to the right, kill everything that looks at you sideways, and on to the next screen. There are two exceptions to this formula, one of which being these platforms in the swamp. When you jump on one of these platforms, it will shake briefly and then sink, and you with it. If you allow that to happen, or if you fall in the water at all, a watery hand will pull you under, where you have the privilege of experiencing some of the most befuddling and awful swimming controls in any video game ever while fighting a fish creature shooting tadpoles at you. The merman has an extremely elusive hitbox, so it feels like you're trying to sword fight a ghost underwater. If you die here, guess what? The game doesn't even give you a chance to correct your jumping mistake. You're stuck here until you kill the fishman. Enjoy. In certain stages, you can enter open doors to gain power-ups, and there are a few secret doors which require a key to access. There's even a completely optional sewer area with a water dragon boss jealously guarding a treasure chest that you can punch to death. The music in Frankenstein: The Monster Returns ranges from pretty decent to mute the TV levels of terrible. The quality of the music is wildly inconsistent, where a song will have some nice parts and suddenly assault your unsuspecting eardrums. The story, if you can call it that, of Frankenstein: The Monster Returns is the best reason to play this game at all. It's the good kind of bad, where you'll find yourself laughing at your apparently brain-damaged character having a conversation with Frankenstein and the girl he kidnapped, then suddenly wondering, where's Frankenstein? Like, if Frankenstein has disappeared but you're standing here talking to Emily, why don't you just save her now? Toward the end of the game, Frankenstein runs away with Emily to the... get this. The evil dimension. A name so staggeringly uncreative that it almost becomes art. The game is extremely short, boasting only 4 kinda bland and uninteresting stages, and most of the boss fights, aside from the final boss, aren't much of a challenge. I've already talked about the music, so why am I even reviewing this game? Let's be real, Frankenstein the Monster Returns is a janky, uninspired platformer which would offend your Nintendo console if you ever tried to pop the cartridge in, and yet, I have to admit I kinda had fun with it. I am one of those weirdos that enjoys janky games, especially ones that make me laugh, which is probably not what the developers of Frankenstein the Monster Returns intended, but that's exactly what the players got. Despite the thematic similarities to the Castlevania games, Frankenstein the Monster Returns is really just a low-tier facsimile, a copy of a copy of a copy that's been so diluted that it's unrecognizable from the games it may be drawing inspiration from. A game where most of the fun lies in laughing at it, as opposed to playing it. I'm Quebs. This has been my review of Frankenstein the Monster Returns for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I hope you have a spooky day.